So welcome back, guys, and thanks for stopping by. Today we are diving into the new Ronin-S from DJI. This is my first handheld gimbal. I have been working with aerial gimbals for the past 5 years or so, work with all the quadcopters, so I'm not new to the technology, but this is my first handheld, so I had a lot of questions. A lot of you guys out there are probably newbies as well and have never used a handheld gimbal, so I had a lot of questions. I want to share those questions and answers with you. My first look at this was, wow, look at how well built this is. This is all nice high quality aluminum knobby controls. I like that it's all black, so it doesn't, it's not real flashy or anything like that. My second thought on this was, how the heck am I ever gonna get this all back into the carrying case? Looks very complicated to me at first glance. Lots of angled parts. Looks like everything has to be folded up in a very specific way, so let's break it out and show you how to put this thing together. Got a 1/4 turn and a 3/8 inch mount as well. You'll see that this slides in just like that. These two just connect together. There's like that. And it's got a locking mechanism on the side. So you just tighten that down. Yeah, let's talk about setup and balancing. So I've got the GH5 on the back on the bottom. I've got a Manfrotto tripod mount. They almost look identical. This is the one that comes with the Ronin-S. The only difference I can see is there's a notch on the front of the one that the DJI Ronin-S comes with. The Manfrotto tripod mount does not work on the Ronin-S, so this is not cross-compatible, but this one is. Side here that helps you slide it. Just push that in, slide it in, and just tighten that down. Come back to that in a second because that'll have to be adjusted. Next, what you want to do is get the camera left to right about there, and then you tighten this knob down. Keeps it from going left to right. So next, let's get it balanced front to back, and you basically get it like that. So now it is perfectly flat. And then just retighten it. Next up, you want to tilt it like this, and then you want to adjust this one. You just go back and forth till it's pretty close. There we go. That looks pretty good. Pretty good. And now you want to do the same on this arm in the back, because right now it's just going to tilt over like that. So I get a little bit over to the right. Good to go. And then lastly, got this arm here, so what you want to do is put the tripod legs with the first leg pointing straight ahead, and you want to tilt it to the left, tilt it to the right, and it immediately turns over. So a little bit more towards one. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay. And that is all you have to do to balance it manually. And then lastly, to fine tune this, you hit the M button on the back and the trigger button on the front for 4 seconds. Camera starts to shake. Start to hear the motors go off. One right here. Start to hear that one shake. Then you hear this shake as well. So 1, 2, 3. Those are the 3 axes. So now it is perfectly set up. Okay, so another question that you might have, because I had the same question, was do I need to do this every time I take this thing out of the case? And the answer to that is yes. Every time you take this out from a folded up case like this, you're going to have to set it up just like this every single time. Question you might have is, does it support larger lenses? So this is a 7-14 lens. This is a 14-140. Definitely supports that. It's almost the same size. Also got a 1-400, and it's a really heavy 1-400 lens. Okay, so now I've got the 1-400 millimeter lens on here. I'm going to turn it back on. Definitely need to balance when you're going from a small lens to a large lens. Might not need to balance much of anything if you're going from, you know, one small lens to a small medium lens. You know, there's not much difference between the 14-140 and the 7-14 in terms of length and weight. They're about the same. So anyway, so this is all balanced. I got a selfie mode with the 400 millimeter. Don't know why you would do that. Interesting thing to note here, not a lot of clearance right here, and this is a problem. So you could use this in the field in theory. I don't know how useful this is going to be with such a long lens like this. Certainly going out to 300 or 400 millimeters on this lens on a gimbal would be very hard to operate, in my opinion, but it could be done. However, watch this when I try to go to flashlight mode. It kind of goes down enough, but then when I'm trying to come back up, it gets stuck. But I don't think you're ever going I'm not sure why you'd ever want to have a lens like this big on a handheld gimbal, and probably not so much flashlight mode either. So not a big deal, but just to let you know, it does balance it perfectly fine on the gimbal. So another thought that I had was, I wish that there was a way to hold this down by my side when I'm going from one shot to the next shot, because I don't want to necessarily hold it like this all day long. So, because if you're going to hold it by your side, these arms are going to keep trying to auto orient themselves to the upright position. So just turn the camera off, turn the gimbal off like that, but I don't want to just carry it like this because these things are just swinging around. So what I have here are these little gear ties. These are just rubber coated pipe cleaners, and you can get these pretty much anywhere. I'll leave a link in the description to the ones I got, but they're just a couple dollars. And then just kind of twist it together on the arm. You pretty much can just take this and use it like a handle. Okay, so what is the purpose of the DJI Ronin? This is simply a tool to help you get smoother, more cinematic footage. You can use this in any number of ways. You're going to have perfectly smooth footage when you're panning from left to right. But in all honesty, if that's all you're going to use it for, pretty much any camera today will have in-body stabilization. So, you know, obviously don't just get it for these smooth pans left to right. You want to be able to drive into the action and pull out of the action by using the trigger finger here, and to be able to get into these smaller spots. And it just helps give you a lot more options when shooting with your camera. So you want to be able to focus on shots that only you could pull off by using a handheld gimbal. So you can actually walk with this, you can run with this, you can jog with this, you can follow along behind something with this, and it's going to be 10 times smoother than it would have been by just using a handheld camera. So I say go for it. Get as smooth a shot as you can. No matter what, it's going to look better than it would have without it. So there's really no downside to this other than, you know, having to set it up ahead of time. Now let's move on to the joystick. The joystick is awesome. The joystick, for those of you that fly the drones, think of this like your camera wheel. So definitely want to tweak the settings on the joystick here, but I'm so glad they even have this option. It's nice enough without it, and this is just an added addition that will help you create these shots that you just could not have pulled off otherwise, because now you can pull away from a shot like that and come up, or I can go into a shot and then come down like that. Okay, so next up is the focus wheel. Focus wheel is right here on your left hand side. The focus wheel for me is a blessing. I struggle so much with being able to pull focus when I'm using the GH5 or any any nice camera for that matter. But the pull focus allows you to be able to focus on something, you know, way off in the distance, and then the idea is to be able to pull that focus into something that's, you know, right up in front of you. And this is a nice smooth wheel that allows that to be possible without me having to, you know, change the focus on the LCD screen, or to be able to have to change the focus ring here on the camera, which is going to be even, you know, harder unless I'm on a static tripod. But this would be really hard to pull off on the gimbal itself. So just having this nice wheel here, and like I said, it's super smooth. This is what allows you to go into sport mode briefly. So I think this is great because what you're doing is, as the action starts, you kind of have the tendency to hold on tighter anyway. So all you have to remember is just to hold the mode button down, and that will just tighten up all the motors on the gimbal, so it's not so, right, it just stiffens that up. And then you let go as the action passes, and you're back into the default, you know, kind of medium sensitivity mode. Record button is on here. You can use this record button on the GH5 to start recording on the camera, or you can use the record button like normal on the top of your camera if the camera is not compatible yet with the DJI Ronin-S. But my understanding is most of these cameras will become compatible in the near future with firmware upgrades. Next up is different user modes, user mode 1, 2, and 3. And you can basically set these up any way that you want. User mode 1 I just have, and user mode 2 I just have them set up for default settings. And then user mode 3 is what I have, which allows me to change the roll when I'm in flashlight mode. I'm gonna go into flashlight mode. So now I'm in flashlight mode, and I could just roll to the right or to the left. And that's what allows it to do the 360 tilt. It's a nice little trick to have. Kind of just changes things up from time to time, and I'm sure anybody that gets the Ronin-S is going to try that out, and we'll see that in a lot of videos over the summer. So when you see that, you'll know that's what they shot it with. Okay, so there's 3 general positions. Position number 1 is upright, just like that. Position number 2 is flashlight mode, like that. So you could drive into the action, go through narrow spaces, super helpful. Double tap. The third mode is like this. Goes to underslung mode. So now you could kind of hold this and you still have access. So now I could just hold this really, really low to the ground, do a nice little follow shots with footsteps, and it's going to be perfectly smooth. And you almost could just hold this just like a pendulum. So then to come out of that mode, you rotate back with this always to your right hand side to the outside, so you never want to cross that across the gimbal body. And it comes back up like that. Let's jump into the Ronin-S app. You can see that. I'll record the screen. I'm going to connect to the Ronin. I'm connected, Bluetooth is on. Cool thing about this is the different creative modes. So you can shoot, you know, obviously you can shoot video. You can actually control the gimbal remotely from your phone. So I'm just going to move to the right, and it'll pan to the right. Pan to the left. Pan up, or tilt up, tilt down. The cool thing about the Ronin-S is the software itself. I mean, make no mistake about it, DJI is an exceptional software company. They're not just a company that makes hardware products. Their core competency, in my opinion, is their ability to make quality software. So, totally expect this app to be built out over time, just like with the DJI Go 4 app. You're going to see new features released with successive firmware updates. So moving on, after video, you can shoot panorama. You can set that up, you know, just like with any other camera. A lot of your cameras today have the in-body panorama set up, so you could do that, or you could just do it here. You get to choose, you know, the size of the panorama based on the screen here. Basically, draw a box like that, and that is what the footprint of your panorama looks like. So time lapse, you've got time lapse too. Interval content duration, so I could say I want to do a interval of 1 second. How long do I want the content to be? I typically do like a 10-second clip just like this. You want to shoot at 24 frames per second, whatever your preference is. So you've also got motion lapse. I have not used this yet, but what I would use it for would be to set up a time lapse where you're maybe starting out panning up at the top, or tilted up to the top, and then as you do the time lapse, it slowly comes down to a horizontal horizon shot. Just a way to mix up your different time lapse shots. Anyway, guys, lots of updates to be coming out on this, I'm sure. So keep your eyes open if you have the Ronin-S. Yeah, this will be great. So guys, in summary, this is an excellent product that I know that you're not going to be disappointed with. You're just going to have to decide for yourself whether it's worth it enough for you to purchase a handheld, a 3-axis gimbal for a DSLR camera, and whether it's worth it enough to get those smooth shots versus having handheld shots. For me, it's a no-brainer. I think this is I keep actually thinking of more and more ways that I can use this versus worrying about, oh man, do I have to set it up or not. I thought I was going to worry about that, but once you've got a little way to just cinch these arms together and just carry it around with you, you really don't think about the setup time, because that's kind of a moot point after the first couple times. Like I said, it's 5 minutes or less, and then you're good to go. The ideas that you can use this on are endless. It's compact. It's more compact than most other handheld gimbals out there. It's got the functionality that you'd expect from a DJI product, which is really good versus, I haven't tried some of the other handheld gimbals from other manufacturers, but I do trust the software functionality that you get out of your typical DJI product. So anyway, that's the questions I had. That's the answers I came up with based on the experience that I've had in the last month messing around with the DJI Ronin-S. I hope these answer your questions. If you have any other questions, please leave a comment below. Leave me a thumbs up if you found what you were looking for, and I'll see you guys in the next video.